To kick things off, maybe let's get you to introduce yourself and then maybe go into like a quick overview of what Nibiru Chain is, what you guys are doing, your goals, all that great stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Brandon. I'm the head of growth here at Nibiru. Been with the team for a little under 2 years, leading the go-to-market user acquisition initiatives, as well as a lot of the content strategy. Been working in the crypto space for about 6 years now, from early stage ICOs to pretty well established orgs like Unstoppable Domains, Ava Labs. Been doing a lot of growth and community, as well as like influencer KOL side marketing. Um, so a bit about Nibiru. Nibiru is a multi-VM layer one, focus heavily on real sustainable yield. Um, Traditionally, a lot of L1s in the past, have been focusing on ecosystem, which we also do heavily focus on. But the biggest question you see when you look at products and you look at chains with these ecosystems is like, where does the yield come from? And so for us, we're heavily focused on bringing on the right partners that can help establish strong footing for the user, making sure to put the user first, and bringing them a really safe user experience. So in the last year since we've done our TGE, we've been focusing on building, a robust ecosystem that focuses on the yield side, focusing a lot on the RWAs. So we've been working with a protocol called Coded Estate that have been building on-chain real estate. They just wrapped up their integration with building perps on chain for real estate, and just so much more. So, happy to dive deeper into that. Um, but yeah, that's a little bit about the high level of Nibiru and what we've been focused on.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the introduction of Nibiru and yourself, Brandon. Very excited to do the same. Hey, and everybody that's listening in, make sure to comment your question. We're doing a $500 giveaway from DEXTools and Nibiru. So make sure to comment your question on the spaces. If we have enough time after the spaces, we'll definitely get a few people on and you guys can ask away. So let's dive a little bit into Nibiru. What makes you guys different from other layer ones and layer twos? I know you mentioned a few things that you guys are doing differently, what you guys are focusing on, but
Yeah,
in
for
the
sure.
market,
So,
yeah, let's hear it from you.
oh, sorry, you were kind of cutting in and out there for a sec. I think I got the gist of your question. But the first thing, of course, so Nibiru is multi VM. So we were initially WASM based, but have since deployed an EVM. So this essentially allows builders to come on chain, whether they've been building in Rust, or have been building in Solidity, can come on very easily, and deploy their applications. Especially in like EVM land, it's pretty easy to bring over like a DEX of like a V2 fork and bring it onto Nibiru fairly easily. Um, the reason being, initially wasm based was, the project stemmed from inspiration from folks that built in the Terra Luna side, in the Cosmos ecosystem. So with the support of both VMs, smart contracts on both sides can kind of run in tangent pretty seamlessly. So, it kind of opens up the door for a lot of developer exposure to come onto the chain and build very seamlessly. In terms of like the core differentiation, a lot of it, kind of what I mentioned earlier, was this idea around real sustainable yield. Um, Kind of being the source of truth for where yield actually comes from, not just displaying like super crazy high APRs, and positioning these like false like APRs to kind of mislead users into doing XYZ. Um, a lot of our focus has also been in the RWA side, and so like I mentioned, Coded Estate has been building the real estate front for on-chain. They're right now focusing in the Dubai market, which they've gotten a license to be able to um, provide real estate. And these are like opportunities where users can jump in, and purchase a percentage share of like real estate in Dubai. So that's pretty exciting. They've also opened up a rentals market where you can um, be able to book a hotel pretty seamlessly using crypto on ramp payments. There's also, you know, for us, we're also building an in-house perps product. which is called Psi, and that'll be interesting because our thesis is a lot around tokenize everything. So, in addition to a lot of the core blue chip assets that like Solana, Bitcoin, Ethereum, you'll be able to lever up on a lot of different alternative derivative markets. So, the focus really is multi VM, RWAs, and just kind of dabbling in and building a lot of these apps in house that kind of build out a nice flywheel to do things like buybacks and returning a lot of the fees and revenue to the users and to the holders.
Amazing. It sounds like you guys are touching on a lot of the sweet spots, tokenize everything. I love that. I really believe that. I mean, myself in Dubai, I've seen a lot of progress with the RWAs, bringing assets onto the blockchain, fractionalizing, expensive assets so people can take part in those investments they traditionally didn't have access to. I love everything you guys are doing. And you just ended with a few points about the token, but I'm going to save that question for later, and we could dive into all the utility you guys offer in terms of the Nibiru token. But I wanted to touch on the DEXTools integration that recently happened. And what does that mean for Nibiru users, and how can the community benefit from it?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, very excited for the DEXTools integration. Before Nibiru, I used to use DEXTools quite a bit, like every freaking second. So it's really exciting to see it on chain finally. Of course, the biggest thing is for our ecosystem partners and being able to showcase their tokens on, and very seamlessly via DEXTools. So far, we have DEXTools integrated on two of our apps. So one is Oku, the second one is Omni Pump. So Oku is a Uniswap V3 DEX. So it showcases any pool that's live there very seamlessly, so users can dive in, look at the TVL, look at the liquidity into these various assets. The second component of that is Omni Pump, which is a meme coin launchpad. And also the kind of the second reason why we really wanted the DEX integration was any token that is pre-bond, post-bond will be shown on the DEXTools interface. And for those who have used either like DEXTools or Dex Screener, these tools are pretty vital towards your general trading experience. So of course, it's going to be important to have an interface that can showcase very quickly the contract address that users want to get into or just want to have visual into, right? So those are the two biggest things. But of course, really excited to expand the Dex Tools integration into our other applications as we continue on with the integration. So excited to have you guys on board.
Awesome, likewise. And I really love all the points that you touched on. It's undeniable, all the benefits from the integrations for both sides, actually, and your users and community, more importantly, especially on the do your own research side of things, where people can, dive into all of the information, tools, features to make sure that they're not buying scams and that they're keeping safe and their hard earned money in their pockets or good investments, of course, right? And these tools, like you mentioned, Dex tools and other platforms help you dive into the smart contracts, make sure that you're not getting rugged. I mean, doing the best to make sure you're not getting rugged, of course. So I want to touch on some of the tokens that are being launched. Are you watching this activity? What can people expect? Are you seeing meme coins being launched on the Nibiru chain? Yeah, what can you share with us?
Yeah, for sure. So I think we've had a little over 200 meme coins that were launched, though I don't think any of them actually reached 100% on the bonding curve. So of course, if anyone's out there that wants to, be the first, and of course we'd be happy to also ape in. I'd probably ape in my personal funds as well. I think there's a few meme coins in my face, which is kind of funny, but I think soon, in correlation with our block party, which is our incentive campaign program, we'll want to encourage more of the launches of these meme coins, just to kind of stir up community. But of course, a lot of this requires like hand holding throughout the process. Of course, just launching a token is like the first part. of a many like of a pretty long journey, right? You have to, spin up community, you have to spin up a Discord, Telegram, host like pretty frequent spaces. People need to make sure the dev on the token is not a rugger, right? So there's a lot of considerations, but I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I've seen what it's like for communities to launch their meme coin tokens, and then post is like how to retain those users. So, um, and we plan on kind of incentivizing that. So, if folks out there are interested in launching via Omni Pump, you are welcome to do so. And if you guys come to us with a proposal that is meaningful, we would be pretty excited to kind of show some support on that front, whether it's like liquidity provisioning for the pools, um, and potentially doing like a distribution where it could buy up like a percentage of the supply and then distribute that out to folks. Like we're always excited to do that, and of course happy to share more details on the block party later in the space.
Awesome. It sounds like you guys are doing a ton of things to support builders, communities on Nibiru. So, everybody heard that here. If you guys are interested in launching a project, a serious project, hit up Brandon, and he's the man to help you guys out. So, I know you touched on tokenizing everything, a sustainable yield on Nibiru, but I have to ask, what type of dApps and use cases are you guys prioritizing on Nibiru right now? Is it the RWAs, as you mentioned, and sustainable yields on the DeFi side? What's the focus for you guys?
Yeah, so it's a combination of all you just said. Like I stated earlier, the core contributors of Nibiru have been focusing on Psi, which is a perps dex. Now, I say perps dex now because of course on V1 of the launch it'll support trading of blue chip assets. But going into the point of tokenizing everything, I think the eventual goal here is to really focus on bringing anything on chain that can be tokenized, whether it's like synthetic securities, trading cards, any digital collectibles, prediction markets. Those are all different types of variants of assets that we would want to bring onto chain, specifically onto size. So it'll be pretty exciting to see how we kind of dabble into the tokenized side, right? So for example, like pre-IPO pre-IPO like stocks, like how can we tokenize that? How can we have our SLPs on side to be able to spin up these new interesting markets and then be rewarded for choosing the right market? What's the process to spin up a new market? Is there a proposal created? How does the voting mechanism work? Things of that nature, and how do we then tie that all back to the incentivization of the SLPs, and of course I'll provide the context on the SLPs. So SLPs is Psi liquidity provisioning. It'll be a core component of how the markets on Psi perps will actually be seeded. So really interesting to see how we can, expand that into these alternative asset classes, right? So RWAs, you have commodities, you have gold, silver, precious metals. Personally, I'm a watch fanatic, so would love to see markets around, the watch industry and seeing um, folks either going long or short on the watch industry, right? Trump just announced tariffs on Switzerland, so how does that impact, the watch prices, right? So there's a lot of different markets you can tokenize, and of course, people want to degen and go even crazier with like perps, and how can you create a perps market for that, right?
Of course, it all sounds very interesting. I got to check out Side Perps myself. I used a different platform for perps trading on real estate across the world, and I haven't came across anything similar to it. So I'm definitely going to check out Say. And it kind of, I know it's different, but it sounds like maybe you can throw in some prediction markets there as well. How would that work? Could Say integrate something like that? Are you guys focusing or working on prediction markets with the hype around them right now?
Yeah. So we already have two prediction market dApps on the chain. We have Bracket, BRKT, and then we have PRDT, four letter prediction market apps. But one focuses on more current events, so like political, sports betting, etc. You know, like did XYZ, will XYZ make XYZ shot on this time? Or on PRDT, they can kind of bet on like 10 to 15 time frame intervals of, you know, the price of like Bitcoin. Will Bitcoin reach, you know, $110,000, or will it reach $120,000? All right. So you can bet on these types of markets. Currently right now on the chain bracket, they have a team that actually spins up markets. Um, so they identify things within, like, you know, I guess I would say kind of similar to like a Kalshi. The idea with Psi though is, you know, to expand on my point, is really to tokenize those current events, right, on a shorter time frame interval. So let's say you have a 30-day time frame of like a political upcoming, like, okay, like, can you run like perps on that? Does that make sense? And the goal is really to get the community involved, specifically the SLPs, right? To then kind of vote, like a peer-to-peer style, like to vote, like, is this market like viable? Does it make sense? If so, like, I'm willing to put my SLP towards this, towards spinning up this market. And if you're, as an SLP, um, that market gets spun up as a result, the initial liquidity is seeded, then you should be earning like a percentage of the fees that are generated from that market, right? So that's kind of where we see a lot of the excitement. Will I see like very granular prediction markets like that? It might be tough, right? But I'm sure we can kind of whip up, you know, a market that can kind of still function even with like lower liquidity. But I think the goal is really to broaden the scope to make sure we can kind of support these like alternative markets, like the Pokemon industry, right? Pokemon cards are like pumping like crazy, or, you know, other crypto asset classes, or even just like the stocks that I mentioned.
Brandon, thank you for your thorough answer. You went into great detail on everything I've asked, and I truly appreciate everything you're sharing with us. You've covered everything from what Nibiru is, how you guys differentiate, what you're focusing on. Maybe the guys want to hear about the token, the utility of the token, what you have planned for, yeah, the Nibiru side of things, on the token side of things. And then for everybody also listening that wants to get a piece of the $500, as I mentioned, we're giving it away with Nibiru. Make sure to post your comment on the Spaces link, and if we have time, we'll pull up some live questions for you guys to ask. So yeah, just to go back a little bit, utility on Nibiru. What are you guys doing? I know you mentioned a burn, you mentioned buybacks, so maybe you could, you know, share everything you can about it, because I'm quite curious now.
For sure. So, you know, Nibi is, of course, the utility token on Nibiru Chain. Um, you know, the biggest use case and the most tangible, I would say, is, you know, being able to liquid stake. So using our Nibiru web app, you can go in, earn like 22% yield passively. And this is like, you know, purely like token inflation, right? So, of course, it doesn't protect you from like the actual principle of the token price itself. But what's interesting is, you know, we have, for example, on Sai, we plan on deploying like a savings account that will essentially allow users to passively earn, you know, like T-bill like yield on, in addition to the inflation reward from liquid staking. So Nibi converted into stake Nibi, you know, allows you to then lock up your Nibi, contribute to the obviously the network security through validation, but then allows you to use stake Nibi as a core collateral asset into a lot of our different protocols. So for example, like Sai, you'll be able to deposit stake Nibi into and become an SLP. So you can deposit into like a USDC SLP, a stake Nibi SLP, um, and be able to passively earn, you know, a wide range of different yield, which of course will be broken down very clearly to use as collateral. So, you know, you can go into like different perps positions. And, you know, the core utility, I would say, with stake Nibi and Nibi would really be, you know, utilizing those, utilizing it within our ecosystem. Um, of course, you know, there's, you know, the components of governance where users will be able to utilize their stake Nibi to make core decisions of the chain infrastructure. But of course, we want to expand that into, um, how you can influence the ecosystem and the types of apps we should prioritize, right? Right now it's a lot of the team that's focusing on apps and integrations that focus on the TVL side. So what brings in the most amount of TVL? A lot of emphasis around Bitcoin Fi. So how can you liquid stake your Nibi and then put that towards various Bitcoin ecosystems, right? Or put it towards Psi, or put it into a wide range of different apps on the chain. So really, it's your gateway into accessing the Nibiru ecosystem. And of course there are plans to then support and kind of and not to go on a tangent, but another issue in the crypto space is, with any L1, you kind of have to have the native gas token to be able to use a lot of the apps. So, the goal here is to also expand it so you can use assets like USDC or other assets, base assets, to be able to conduct transactions on chain. So, a lot of pretty revolutionary things we're focused on here.
Amazing. I mean, you just stated a bunch of utility. I'm a huge fan of the paymaster. Do you guys call it paymaster on Nibiru as well? Or you can use different types of tokens instead of the native token to use for
No, no, we
gas?
don't call it paymaster. We don't actually have like an official name for it yet. Um, we'll come up with something.
Cool, but you got me at 22% liquid stake, and to be blunt, like people want to diversify or have the flexibility of being able to use the token to, as you mentioned, do 100 or 1,000 different things. You just mentioned endless opportunities, especially bridging over, just being able to extend your capital to the Bitcoin ecosystem or different types of ecosystems and really leverage and cycle or loop whatever you want to do. You have all the possibilities. It's totally endless. So I want to ask you something. Might be tough. With the rapid growth of L1s and L2s, we're seeing a bunch of them pop up almost every month, honestly. What's a strategy for you guys to grow the Nibiru ecosystem? And maybe specifically around attracting developers, growing the community, growing TVL, liquidity. What's the game plan there?
Yeah, I mean, first off, like the biggest thing would be incentivizing builders to come on the chain. Nibiru Ventures is an entity that's spun up to support builders. If an idea or project actually makes sense, there's a decent team behind it. I'm sure there's opportunity to be able to invest in those potential projects. To your point about L1s, I mean, there's constantly L1 spinning up. We just saw Google is, launching an L1 as well. Stablecoin providers, Tether, Circle have also been spinning up their own L1s. I think it's just like an inevitable cycle, right? I think, of course, the problem I see there is a lot of it is going to be centralized around, like how can you be as compliant from a regulatory standpoint, may not be as user oriented. So, of course, I need to do more research on them. But for us, at least, and that's kind of the focus why we're kind of doubling down on ecosystem is one, you bring on high quality builders and apps on the chain day one. But alongside that, we have like a team of like pretty cracked devs that are going in and are actually building apps in house, like Sai, for example, right? So I think when you're actually building the applications that people actually want to use, you start, really thinking from the user perspective, like, okay, like the sentiment has been around XYZ app. Like, let's try to launch this and quickly launch it, right? And then start, marketing for that, co-marketing for it, bringing on, initial eyes. So I think for us, it's really just been, have the L1 infrastructure available so that developers can come on very easily if they choose to do so, ensuring it's multi-VM. So any EVM or Solidity or Rust-based developer can come on chain and build. Of course, Nibiru is OFT compatible, so we have an integration with Stargate via layer 0 to be able to bridge in and out of the chain and send messages very quickly through that integration. So it's very easy to bridge over via pretty much any blue chip asset or blue chip chain. But I think really the strategy is just going in and just building apps in house and getting traction for these core applications that the team kind of doubles down on. I think for Psi, we've been building it for a little over 2 years now, so pretty excited to kind of launch alongside. Of course, there's apps like Hyperliquid that focuses heavily on launching a lot of like blue chips, but also meme coin assets. And um, but I think we have a pretty good shot at the uh, on the narrative around like tokenizing everything and just bringing whatever market that makes sense on chain. So with that, I think with like the side economics would be um, very fruitful to you know to create that nice flywheel to then provide value to token holders, SLPs, etc. So
I love it. You deliver really great answers, Brandon. By the way, I love listening to you. And um, Crack Devs was great, but as you mentioned, execution is key. Speed is quite important, especially with the competition that we're seeing these days. Can you share, tease any major milestones? Are we going to get you in trouble, Brandon? Maybe partnerships, developments, maybe some sneak peeks around the corner. Is there anything that you could share with us that you guys have maybe been working on and excited to push out to the public? We're all ears.
yeah, for sure. So quite a few. I did share the savings account via Psi, so idle capital can earn T-bill like yield. Um, we are pretty heavily focused on Bitcoin Fi and the ecosystem, so um, getting users to get exposed to the Bitcoin network. While still staying on Nibiru, we expect a lot of TVL to flow in via the Bitcoin ecosystem. I think Coded Estate is going to be pretty big. Of course, the rentals in Dubai are already live. Um, I don't know if I mentioned they launched perps for rentals. I think I mentioned it earlier, but that's also built on top of Sai. So they utilize Sai's smart contracts to launch their own perps market. Sai, of course, is going to be a big launch. V1 and V2. Stargate, which is our main bridge, that integration went live a few months ago, but of course is still very relevant to just enhancing the user experience. We will be getting Jumper as well, so via LeFi, so working the LeFi integration. There's like so much, but a few lending markets. And of course, I haven't touched on this, but we have the Nibiru Block Party. We had season one, which went pretty well, which is users can farm aura. So these are points, and a lot of it can be earned from a lot of the on-chain tasks like providing liquidity into XYZ protocol. You can earn aura points that can translate into future reward considerations. Season two, of course, would be more Bitcoin 5 focused. Um, Alongside really launching Psi hard, and bringing on users there and utilizing a lot of the core strategies via vault managers. We're working with several vault providers to streamline the liquidity provisioning aspect for users. So you simply just single asset deposit like USDC into a vault, and you can help seed initial liquidity for a lot of the pools and markets on Nibiru's ecosystem. So that, in addition to working with um, game developers to build out, like I think to start off, we want to bring on some like DGNS games, like casino gambling and whatnot. But eventually, you want to expand that into like real shooter games or actual games. Though the turnaround for building a real like AAA game takes forever, I know from like prior experience. So we'll see, right? Like we'll see what the demand is like on the gaming side. But at least for now, we want to at least have a way for users to be able to kind of DGNS a bit. Um, I think that's probably the major announcements around the ecosystem. We just launched integration with Element on the NFT marketplace side. Trying to hit all verticals, but really doubling down on the RWA side and the specifically within DeFi.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you guys got a ton of verticals and a huge amount of things going on, announcements, integrations, partnerships. It's quite impressive. We've been backing and following, huge supporters of Nibiru Chain since inception, and you guys haven't stopped. Keep pushing, keep building, keep shipping, which is quite impressive, and it's great to see a team so serious. I love it, and not only that, you guys are very supportive. You have your venture, as you mentioned, to support ecosystem projects, people looking to build. So it's a lot of great things you guys are doing, and Nibro sounds like a really great place to build and just be at. So very excited that we got to listen from you, and I want to ask you as well. For everybody that's been watching this CMA, I mean, I'm sure they want to get involved or get ready for the next block party. I love that you guys named it, the aura points. It's quite cool. So, what are some ways for people to get started? How can they get involved? Where should they go first if this is the first they've heard of Nibru? How are you going to put them on?
For sure. So, season two of the block party will actually start sometime next month. We haven't launched an official date. I think the priority is to get a lot of the season two apps ready for launch. So I've been working on that. But in the meantime, if you want to check out Nibiru, I would say the first place would probably be the Nibiru web app. It's app.nibiru.fi. It's kind of like your all in one, gateway to accessing, liquidity, bringing whatever asset to the chain, and then exploring our ecosystem. The ecosystem can be found at nibiru.fi/ecosystem, showcasing a lot of, the current integrations. Um, Users can go into apps like ICHI, which allows users to deploy initial liquidity, um, into our V3 Uniswap V3 contracts, into those pools there. There's a lot. I would say just go to the web app. It'll give you like high level information about your portfolio, how much NIBI you hold, how much stake NIBI you hold. It'll also allow you to liquid stake, and kind of talking about that, 22% yield that you can earn there. Um, a lot you can do there. And then eventually there will be an integration with Psi, so you'll be able to access like the perps markets fairly quickly, as well. So, and of course, like if you guys want to follow us on X, we're on the Nibiru Chain on pretty much all the social platforms, but mostly posting on X. So feel free to follow us there for more updates.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandon, for sharing all of that. And I just want to ask, I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have time for some questions, or would you prefer that we pick them out after these spaces?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Let's end it.
Awesome. Sorry, did you say questions, or
Yeah,
do
yeah.
you have
Let's
to
let's
run?
uh let's uh let's uh let's uh let's go through the questions.
Awesome. We have about 30 people plus looking to ask questions. I'm going to bring on some people and we'll get started. Awesome. We got Blueberry, Miss Blueberry Hut. The stage
Y-
is yours.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, we hear
I
you.
can
How's
hear
it
you.
going?
Yeah, I want to ask how does decentralized governance work on Nibiru chain and what proposals from the community have already influenced protocol upgrades? Did you get my question?
Yeah, so the question was about how does governance work on the chain?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so there will be an interface. There isn't like a pretty like right now it doesn't look very sexy. There is a way to, if you're a validator, you can put up a proposal, but in the next like month or so, we do plan on working on a more user friendly interface where users can go in, they put up X amount of stake NIBI, and then they can put up a chain wide proposal to, and this can be for chain related upgrades or just general proposals around you know, anything related to like the token, to ecosystem related apps, what a user would want to see, if there's enough votes or consensus, and of course, voting would be, you would put up your stake NIBI to vote. If the vote goes through, then then we would move forward with that action. So there will be an interface that will be pretty streamlined to make it easy to vote.
Awesome. Thank you for the question. And as always, thank you, Brandon, for the answer. Mr. BTC, you're up next. The stage is yours. Just curious, is that a Campi Panda PFP? Haven't seen those in a while. Maybe subconsciously picked you because of that. Mr. BTC, BTC GG88, the stage is yours.
Okay. Good evening. Am I audible?
Yep.
Okay. How does Nibiru's structured product vaults both systems simplify advanced DeFi strategies for new users while still offering flexibility for experienced DeFi natives to customize complex strategies? Did you get the question?
Yeah, I think so. So you're kind of asking how Nibiru's structured products work. So
Yeah.
of course, like, um, and this is probably something we probably need to work on a bit. It's just kind of enhancing the flow, the user flow. But the idea is, a user can come in, liquid stake their Nibi, earn the 22% yield that's associated with that. They'll then be able to deploy that staked Nibi into a wide range of apps in the ecosystem to earn, additional yield, or provision liquidity, earn incentives for that, um, or be able to lend out, borrow their stake Nibi, and deploy the borrowed collateral into various other markets. The idea is to kind of streamline that experience so that, and that's kind of why we're working with these vault providers, because right now the experience to like LP for like a retail user is pretty convoluted, and in fact it's very difficult to do so. You have to worry about like def management, you have to worry about being in range of your liquidity, so and you have to worry about the price volatility of a specific asset, right? That's why there's, when people earn fees for LPing, there's higher fees for more volatile pairs like ETH, for example, or Solana or Nibi, versus like a stable coin pair. Like, you wouldn't really get as much fees because that's always going to stay at like a dollar, right? So the idea is to streamline that entirety of the experience so the user can kind of sit back, deploy capital, simply deploy capital, and earn like a streamlined set of yield, right? The kind of the theme that I started the spaces off was around real sustainable yield. And our goal really is to focus on streamlining that experience for the user. So, they can earn a real amount of yield that, you know, is tangible, and just overall very easy to do so. And eventually, we're working with different AI providers, one being Gamok, that allows users to make intent-based decisions. So simply typing it into a prompt will allow you to earn, X percentage of yield. You can define your risk profile and then be able to deploy capital contingent on like your risk profile and whatnot. So hopefully that answered your question.
Awesome. Very thorough answer. Appreciate it. And everybody that asked questions, reach out to me, and I'll make sure that all of you guys are handled. Appreciate everybody coming to the spaces. Appreciate all of you guys showing up every week. And a huge shout out to Brandon and Nibiru Chain. Man, you shared so much alpha with us. You're very thorough on all of your answers. And of course, your time is priceless. So thank you. And is there anything else that you want to end off with? Maybe share something with everybody here?
Yeah, for sure. Guys, stay tuned for the Block Party Season 2. Make sure you're following Nibiru Chain's official socials. We'll be announcing the launch of Season 2 and the date where users can come in and come onto the chain and start playing around with the app some more. You can already come do so right now, but you won't be able to earn Aura if you're a new user. So make sure you're staying tuned. For the announcement there. We just opened up the season one claim, so users are now earning Aura, and converting those to rewards right now. So pretty exciting times, and yeah, appreciate the time, Will, and thanks for having me on the space.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, everybody. And we are going to have this episode up on YouTube in the next 24 hours. So if you want to check it out on YouTube, check it out. And we'll see you guys next week on the next Dex Spaces. Thank you, everybody. for attending and enjoy the rest of the evening.